Hi, in this tutorial I'll demonstrate how to update the firmware on a Zoom Handy recorder. I'll be using the Zoom H4n, but the process is very similar for all Zoom Handy recorders. So the first step in updating the firmware is to check the current firmware version on your recorder. Power on the recorder, and while it boots up, the current firmware version will be displayed on the LCD screen. If you miss it, go into the menu system and scroll down to System and select it. Then scroll down to Version and select that. You'll see the current system version displayed on the screen. Next, go to the Zoom website and check for the latest firmware for your Handy recorder. I'll put links in the description to relevant software and download pages for each recorder. Check whether the latest firmware version is newer than the one on your Zoom recorder. If it is, download the firmware update zip file to your computer. Updating the firmware on your Zoom Handy recorder is a straightforward process, but it's important to follow the steps carefully to ensure the update goes well. You'll first need to unzip the firmware update file that you downloaded from the Zoom website. With the file unzipped, you'll find a .bin file, which is the firmware update file that you need to update your recorder. The next step is to use a USB cable to connect your computer to the Zoom recorder. Once connected, the recorder will boot up to the USB screen. Now, depending on your device, choose either storage device or card reader, and your computer should see the SD card in your Zoom recorder. You can then copy the firmware update.bin file to the SD card's root directory. Once the .bin file is on the SD card, eject or unplug the recorder from your computer. The loss of power will shut down the recorder, so power on the recorder while holding the play/pause button. The recorder will eventually boot to the version up screen. This may take a few seconds, so be patient and just wait. When the version up screen appears, you'll see that to the right of the word System, the current firmware version and the version that you're updating to will appear. In my case, you can see that they're both version 1.90 because I've already updated my Zoom H4n. Now again, depending which Zoom recorder you have, either select OK or Yes to start the update process. Once the update has finished, the LCD display will tell you that the process has been completed. You can now turn off the Zoom recorder and then reboot. As the recorder reboots, you should see the new system firmware version displayed on the screen. Your Zoom recorder should now be updated to the latest firmware version. Remember to regularly check for updates to ensure that your device has all the updates and bug fixes. That's it for today. Please like, share and subscribe if you found this video useful. It helps me make more. And to make sure you don't miss any new videos, hit that notification bell. Finally, you can find in-depth articles on my website, DIYvideostudio.com. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.